This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. You really can. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio and email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
I might have just made a New Year's resolution to listen to more Pogues. I might have. Prompted by that.
I may have mentioned this before, but why even bother doing that as a precursor? We all have to repeat things in our lives. I was burgled. I lived in a bedsit in Birmingham and I got burgled.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Lovely story.
They stole my Walkman and 3 Pogues cassettes.
Oh.
And looking back, it's like they stole the 80s.
Yeah.
Someone broke in and stole the 80s from me.
That is a shame.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't mean it to start a sad story.
But it's, it's
The music lives on.
yeah, exactly.
It's rare that I'm the cheery one in a chat, but here we are.
What a lovely sentiment.
Yeah.
No, don't put yourself down. I mean, it's right, but
No,
you don't need to bring
absolutely
you don't need to point it out.
It's been regularly brought to my attention, actually. But anyway.
I would say you're largely unknowable. That's how I think of you.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what? When people are well, not actually physically gathering together, most people, but they're reconnecting after the Christmas period.
Mm-hmm.
How many other groups of friends do you think begin the conversation by saying, "You're largely unknowable"? I think.
Maybe priests returning to prayer. Obviously, they shouldn't really have Christmas off.
No, you
Come to think of it.
Yeah.
I thought they've been up to their eyeballs.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a bit busy. I was there. I know, because I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can I tell you, by the way, before we go into Outside World, I was in... stop me if I've told you this recently, but I was on Hampstead Heath.
Oh, here we go.
Which is a large area of sort of
You
park.
might have told me this off air, but I'm surprised you...
No, it's not that. It's
I
not
think
that.
I think Joe Orton.
Oh, different anecdote.
Joe Orton told me
not
that off air.
It's not that story. I was walloping a football around with my son. Which is something I think I could probably do for 8 hours a day and be perfectly happy.
Great.
Something about just kicking a football.
Mm-hmm.
I met a bloke for a chat. I know. And we took a football and we just kicked the football to each
that's
other.
nice.
And we were saying, this is just great. Anyway, so I was there doing that. In the period that we were kicking the football about, a woman arrived in a sort of kind of gear you might get kitted up in, Al. You know, the old white martial arts.
Oh, I thought you meant
Judo.
medieval knight costume, but I didn't realise that.
No. You know, it's got a technical name, I'm guessing.
A gi?
A gi,
Like
yes.
the pyjamas?
Turns up in a gi,
Yeah.
eh? And takes out this big sword.
Right.
And I was keeping an eye on her, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
What was the Kill Bill?
Yeah, well, she was an older lady. She's probably not as old as me, but still older.
Oh, me.
Yeah. And she started doing a sort of Tai Chi thing with this sword.
Right.
So I thought, okay. So she did that for about 15 minutes. I was glad to see her put it back in the sheath.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Good for the social distancing for her, though.
True.
No one's going within that 2 metres.
That is very true. And but I see, I'd have gone for the samurai mask. I mean, let's go hard. And then then 2 blokes turned up with big sticks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they started doing a sort of quite ritualised, look like kendo.
Yeah.
Perhaps a bit of kendo.
I think you
Hang
might have
on.
got that right.
Can we just establish, sorry to go all 24 hours in police custody on you, but were these individuals connected
No.
to the female?
No, they weren't. Now, this is it. And then
Just a lot of
after
random swords in...
This is why we were just kicking a football. It's like, you know, part life. It was that.
Yeah.
It was part life actually happening. And then they went away after a bit, and the final arrival was a guy turned up, and he started half climbing a tree, and I thought, aye.
Swampy.
And then it turned out that he hung 2 gymnastics rings
right, yeah.
from them and started doing, the crucifix
No.
and all that stuff.
Good Lord,
Amazing.
that's strong.
And anyway, where I'm moving towards is the this morning's texting. What's the most surprising breakfast show friendly thing you've ever seen in a park? You need a ramp for these things.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Can I just say thank you to our fabulous readers for sending us such lovely, pleasant messages this morning on Twitter and through all the various means.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I don't get to see the messages in case they're negative, and I can't cope with negative waves generally in my life.
I
You should
understand.
feel quite pleased about some of them because we've actually got some that received Frank Skinner merchandise for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. One has
How
sent
long
a
did
photograph.
these emails take to arrive?
One wonders. I mean, I don't think you're due a royalty check for this one.
No, go on.
Somebody has sent a photograph of a boxed game of Fantasy Manager.
Oh, God. terrible game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I remember
Well, they
this.
seem quite excited about it. So,
Well, me and Dave tried to play it once. We couldn't work out the rules.
well, you of all people ought to have
Also
been able
out.
to, because
No.
you're on the box, the pair
Exactly.
of you.
If you're on the box.
Yeah.
Frank and David and board games. Let's
Is it a
leave
combustible mixture?
Yeah,
We shouldn't have been on the box. You have to get your name taken off the credits. Do you remember, like with the Mastermind? It wasn't Magnus Magnuson on the box.
Is that right?
It was a bloke with like a beautiful Chinese
Oh, yes.
girl, and he looked like a
Oh.
real mastermind. like an evil
That was a
mastermind.
different game. That wasn't
No, it was.
It wasn't.
Sure, that was
I think
Mastermind.
Mastermind. I know exactly the man you mean. He looked a bit
Emily
Omar
just wanted to
Sharif.
say
Can
a
I-
different
can anyone-
mastermind.
Just to shame your pronunciation.
Just to sort of correct what had preceded
Can
that.
anyone help us out with the Mastermind board game? Was it Mastermind, but instead of Magnuson, it was an evil villain.
It was an evil
with
Bond
his
villain.
beautiful
I'm
mole.
just suggesting it was more of a sort of weird. It wasn't a questions. It wasn't Mastermind the game.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay, that might be right.
Okay,
I never
thank you.
played it. I just like the lady. I like the lady on the cover.
You've asked what's the most surprising and breakfast show friendly thing you've seen in a park. You
Yes.
asked our readers, and they responded. We've had all sorts coming in. People, Paul Chappell, people sitting on a football pitch playing Sabutio.
Now that's deliberately cantankerous. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
We've had Flanners, a man walking his falcon on a lead.
Wow. That's getting a vigorous nod from the assistant producer, who's obviously seen the same chap walking
Well, she lives
about.
in Stratford upon Avon. They're probably to reg. You probably see like falcon walkers with about 12 on a leather. What do you call a long piece of leather?
Leash.
On a leash.
Oh,
thanks
yeah,
very much.
like you don't know.
Yeah, well, I kind of.
One
You know,
wonders.
we all have our own New Year's resolution.
We've also had Dr. Mark Skincare. Oh, call me.
Can that be right?
I
Okay.
wonder what he does for a living.
Well, if you are Dr. Mark Skincare, I think you'd feel pressured, wouldn't you, into dermatology?
Yeah.
Well, he's an experienced aesthetic medical practitioner. Call me Dr. Mark. When I was 11, playing in Clitterhouse Park, the England football team came and did a practice. I got autographs from Sir Alf Ramsey, Bobby Moore and Peter Shilton.
Wow.
That is. I don't think of Peter Shilton as a contemporary of Alf
No.
Ramsey and Bobby Moore, but maybe there was a crossover.
There might have been.
It's a bit tragic, the England team
In a park.
in a park.
Clitterhouse Park.
Different times.
Could he have been a lookalike? Did they used to have lookalike England squads who did like working men's clubs and stuff?
If they did,
they
is it
must
likely that they all gathered to play football in a park?
Can we
Well,
work
if
out
they had a big Christmas do coming up.
Maybe.
what would their name have been? Like they must have had an Oasis type
Oh,
name.
yeah. So what is the name of the England lookalikes 11? If you can come up with a good punning name for that, we would love it. 8, 12, 15, guys.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, yes, any Mastermind news?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Do you think Magnus Magnusson said that for years after it went off air?
To his agent.
I worked with Ted Rogers once, and he said, we think 3-2-1's coming back.
Oh.
And I thought, oh man, you've been saying that for such a long time, and it never came back. In case you don't know who Ted Rogers or 3-2-1 is, just give me that as a New Year's gift. Next.
Roger Turner has been in touch. Mastermind, however you like
Look,
to.
you know, you say how you say. We're all different, but we're all God's children.
This is the thing. This is what I was just saying. I didn't want to come across as elitist with my pronunciation.
God forbid.
I'm just as God made me. The guy on the Mastermind box was a very nice chap from Oadby in Leicestershire.
Was it really? I once went to a wedding in Oadby, and it was one of these where I was invited to the ceremony and the evening do, but not the reception. So I ended up in a chip shop with a buttonhole. It's a terrible juxtaposition.
The game was created by Invicta Plastics and had nothing to do with the other Mastermind. I don't think that the guy's with us any longer.
Yeah,
But
never mind the guy. Oh, no,
Goodness sake.
Well,
she had
actually-
I just remember she had a lovely white dress on, I seem to recall. Do you remember?
Silk.
Oh, you've gone forensic.
Yeah. So, but what was the game, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
I'm off it.
590, who self-describes as Fat Gary Newcastle upon Tyne, I'm not judging, has texted but doesn't say what he's describing. I'm figuring out that it's about the Mastermind game because it just says Leicester hairdresser Bill Woodward with Steeple's fingers and Cecilia Fung of Hong Kong, a Leicester Uni student.
That's
gives
a
us-
great dramatis personae from Fat Gary. I shall go to. Is that the Fat Gary casting agency? Newcastle? Interesting news. Brilliant. What about in the park? What's happening in the park?
What are you asking us? What is happening with regards to park life, Frank?
Or the lookalike team.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had some news. Were you about to speak,
Just
Alan Cochrane?
clarifying, there's
Hey,
been
come
a few.
on. It's a new year. Let's be friends.
Chris Carley
Oh yeah.
has been in touch, and he has some information with regards to what's happening in the park. Chris Carley says this: I once saw this lady throw a bucket of birdseed onto two blokes. Suddenly a massive flock of pigeons engulfed them.
What a fabulous form of self-defense.
Who knew that you could just harness?
Yeah,
Wildlife,
like
essentially.
that. Yeah, you could.
Brilliant.
That's why it's always worth keeping a string of sausages in your handbag, or aniseed. Oh, I'm loving this. Oh yeah,
was good.
Hey, what about that? The producer Sarah turned that round in a matter of seconds.
She did well. Steve Burgess, I watched a magpie tease a cat, moving to the side each time the cat pounced, almost matador style. I was doing the olays in my head. Is this common? I don't know much about bird behaviour. Tell me about it, eh, guys?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. What was that person?
That was Steve Burgess.
Steve, Uncle Guy. Uncle Guy was he's Uncle Guy Burgess. I watched a Jack Russell Terrier with two crows, and one would peck him on the back, and he'd turn around to go to that one. Another crow would peck him on the back and turn him round again for ages.
Meanies.
I did like the David Attenborough, don't get involved and just enjoy the cruelty.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been discussing this a board game of Mastermind that you remember the box of,
Yeah.
haven't we? With
Yeah.
Is it fair to say a beautiful lady as an assistant?
I think it was a beautiful lady.
Well,
You just sound like fast show characters. Was it a beautiful
I
lady?
think we're both a little unsure whether you can use the phrase "beautiful lady."
Well,
Yeah,
you know
it's
what? As
difficult times.
the lady present, I'm fine with it. Okay, thank you.
well,
Especially if you use it
077
about me.
077 has used few words to tell a life story, I would suggest. Hi, my best friend's mum is the lady on the Mastermind box.
Wow.
She's from Erdby and still lives there in her 70s.
She's from Erdby as well.
You see,
I never had no idea that Mastermind board game was so Leicester-based.
Yeah.
well, I think you were a bit disappointed.
Who knew?
You said it was all sort of...
Mysterious.
Exotic.
Yeah, it felt like it might have been, there might have been a fat man in a white suit sitting in one of those bars where there's like a propeller on the ceiling. And a bloke comes over in a fez and tries to sell him some dirty postcards. That kind of.
Yeah, I know that.
Whereas
I mean,
Leicester's not really like that.
I love that story. I love that story.
Yeah.
But what I would say is I'm just slightly wary of it, and I completely take it. I'm assuming this is absolutely true. However, I'm just a bit scarred because the boy I went to school with lied and said his mum was the woman who danced at the beginning of the Tales of the Unexpected credits.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And it's always made me sensitive.
Weirdly
about-
specific
So
line.
it wasn't
Yeah.
true.
No, of course it wasn't.
She danced as Rome burned, if I remember rightly. There was like flames licking all
I
around
remember
her.
that.
Yeah.
You're asking for the
Kind of sort of a
name.
barrel organ.
You're asking for the name of.
That was fabulous music,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
thanks.
Silly of me trying to read text messages when you're recreating the music from Tales of the Unexpected.
No, my fault. Carry on
Common
now.
problem for radio sidekicks.
Co-presenters.
Thank you.
Yeah. You were asking for the name that people would give for the England lookalike team that were
The
training.
tribute team.
457 has suggested, how about Twingerland? Like twin.
Oh, because it's a twin. A bit like Shania Twin. There was that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Twingerland.
Not bad.
That's good.
Well, then, Bilbo Bakewell, all sorts of... a lot to unpack in that name,
Yeah.
which I will enjoy unpacking. Regards... Frank, stop slurping the
What are you
tea.
drinking?
It's
Sorry.
too...
Weird.
It's a very audible slurping.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Did you hear it, Al? Yes. Yeah, I didn't know...
I'm just an old man, Commander.
I didn't know how to handle it. Do you think it was all right that we raised it?
I think aggression was the right answer. That's what you went for, isn't it?
You think that's aggression? Glad we don't live together,
A
pal.
bit of New Year aggression.
Look forward to you meeting aggression.
Can I have a sidebar here before you
yeah.
go on to this?
As long as it's not alcoholic.
No, it's to do with what me drinking. I'm drinking out of a cup
Oh, yeah.
which has got Pogs in space.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but a guy called Tim sent me his comic that he'd done called Pogs in Space.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And my son, who's 8, got hold of it, Boz, and he absolutely loves it. And good, because this guy, to be fair, Tim has gone hard sell. He's bombarded me, mugs, badges, comic.
Right.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And now Boz is saying, can we subscribe? And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, well, the next one comes out in March.
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry, come on.
It's a long wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's like waiting for a Björk album. I mean, he's a subscriber
Just
to
like
the
that.
B now. He's used to regular
Yeah.
hits. Come on, Tim. I imagine Tim is at home with the John Ball printing set, knocking these things out. But I mean, but he loves the comic, so respect to Mundo. Sorry, we'll come back to your point in a minute.
Bilbo Bakewell.
Forgive me, but it had to be said.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Barnaby bread cake or something like that.
Very well remembered, if slightly incorrectly, but, good effort. Bilbo Bakewell.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
He'd come up with... He'd given it a stab, the old England... A name for the England team. England lookalike.
England tribute team. yeah.
Exactly. Bilbo Bakewell regards the England lookalike team name. How about English?
Oh, ish.
Yes.
That's good.
I
Yeah,
quite like
it.
it.
Good use of ish.
Yeah.
Well done, Bilbs.
What about the notional
Like that.
side
Oh, that's good.
instead of the national side? I don't think it's as good
Just
as
have a
English.
notion.
No, it's not.
Who
Yeah,
they're
but you
meant
know,
to be.
I'm just trying to make. It's a bit like
Comedy.
Max Bygraves, the popular guy, used to do sing-along albums because he wasn't a great singer, and people felt they could sing with him. You
That's
know,
nice.
if Bryn Terfel did sing-along albums, they'd be a
It'd be too
disaster
difficult.
because people would think we can't compete with this.
Yeah.
This bloke.
Most unusual
Big Bryn.
things people have seen in the park. Atworth says...
Hold it before you do it.
a sea lion, which had made its
Sea lion.
it has made its way up the river from Longleat to Trowbridge Park. That's from Atworth.
Wowee.
That is. I remember an elephant escaped from, I think it was Dudley Zoo in the West Midlands, and they said in the report, and there was no other details. It said it escaped using circus skills. What?
Yeah, which ones?
Flight?
Where-
Trapeze? Yeah.
Wearing a tutu.
It probably wasn't spinning the ball on its trunk, was it? That wouldn't get it out of
Did they
the zoo.
ever really do that? Or
I
was
think
that
so.
something that... Oh,
I
yeah.
just read too many children's books.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
too many.
know.
In the Disney films, they always did that. didn't
I've
they?
seen them when I was a kid and I think I went to one circus as a kid, and an elephant stood on a very small platform.
Right.
They could do that with their feet very close together.
Do they really wear the tutus as well?
I never saw one in a tutu.
I think
I
animals
think I
in
did once,
circuses
but I'll be straight with you, it's quite revealing.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it didn't leave much to the imagination, the elephant's tutu. I think it should have gone for a sort of a midi skirt at the knee. Do they have knees? They have knees.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
they? Yeah.
Oh, they have
Pretty sure
knees,
they
but
have knees.
really terrible wrinkles.
They
on
don't
them.
really have ankles, do they?
Fankles they've got, I think.
Have they?
No,
Yeah,
they don't. That's
straight
not.
to
They don't
foot.
have much definition in the calf area.
No.
Let's be straight.
Neither do I, actually. That's one
Oh
of the
no,
things I
I'm
would
not.
like.
I'm not body shaming them.
No.
I'm just saying that's not their strongest area.
I agree.
Aesthetically.
I agree with
Would
that.
it be okay if I changed comms with you guys? If I went to emails that I'd like to bring
I
to your
think that's
attention?
a good thing to do. We can
Changing comms.
change our
as they say
comms
on spy
midstream.
films, yeah. Changing comms.
I can say I've never heard anyone say it before.
As you know, I think it's changing communications.
I know. I get
All
what
right,
it is.
good,
I
good.
didn't think it meant.
As you know, normally on the
combination
show,
pants.
I would do a Friday night trawl where I would look through the emails that came in on Friday night in case any of them were gold that we could then use on Saturday morning.
Can I just stop you for a second? Comms used to be what old lady called their knickers when I was a kid.
Is that
I
right?
think they were called them combinations.
Oh.
But I don't know what they were a combination of. Someone will though. 8, 12, 15. Carry on now.
Might have set a few pulses racing on Absolute Radio this morning. The combination. For the more senior listeners.
Yeah.
I checked the emails to do the Friday night trawl, forgetting somewhat that we've been off for 2 or 3 weeks. But I did find an email that was entitled Alan's Recognition. It turns out it's about me, even though it's misspelled my name, Alan. I'll read it to you. See what you think. We've done stony ground for your jokes.
How are you feeling, Frank?
No, I'm good. I'll see what you think. I used to be a big fan of Jake. Still am a big fan of Jake Thackeray.
Oh, yes.
And he had an accent not dissimilar to yours.
I like Jet Thackeray.
And he used
we
to.
definitely overlap in some ways.
He'd say, I'm doing a song now. It's about. See what you think. He always used to say that. I'm afraid we're going to have to wait to see what
it's
we
a
think
cliffhanger
until
now.
after this. Until after this.
Okay.
Right. See what you think.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Now, we were in the midst of cockerel.
Yes, we're
Oh, yeah.
reading an email entitled Alan's Recognition. I'll read it. It's from Dan. The other week, Alan kept coming out with some belting George Clooney jokes that got nothing. I feel I have to give them a reference.
Oh.
So he's going to work his way through the several jokes that he says I did that got nothing. I'd forgotten, but since it's come up, it's only right to mention it.
Okay.
For example, on Gravity, quote, that film brought me down. Silence.
Oh, I must admit that passed me by as well. Sorry, Al.
The best was when someone sent in an email entitled Clooney's Decent Work, citing Hail Caesar and Gravity, and Alan said, surely that's his Descent work.
Descent, Gravity?
Decent work, Descent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
And then he says, now that's a great response. I laughed out loud. Got nothing again. Has my comedy radar gone skewy over lockdown? Dan.
Well, Al, we can only apologise to you.
I don't know why I brought it up now.
No, I'm glad you did.
Well, I do.
I try to encourage my children on this show. If it makes you feel any better, I was watching a Christmas Pointless.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know if you're aware of this, but they said here are some jokes.
Oh yes,
from the Edinburgh Festival, and you have to say what the punchline is.
Yes,
and this is the joke. I can repeat the joke, can I?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
been on telly.
Yeah.
They said, I met my... what is the... You tell the joke. It's your joke.
Oh, I can't... this is...
I met my wife. When I met my wife...
I knew she was a keeper from the start. She was wearing massive gloves.
So that was the joke. So
Yeah,
they got it the right
like
way
that.
around. See, I watched that and thought, you see what I would have done.
Yeah.
He said when I met my wife, she was wearing massive gloves. I knew she was a keeper. And I thought, I bet they've got it the wrong way around. But turns out...
So had I, in your opinion.
So had you. You'd got it the wrong way around.
Well,
We're not going to have a vote on it. It got a big laugh in the studio.
Oh, did it really? Oh.
So that was nice. I don't really like the quoting of comics.
No, it's often...
Generally, I think it's a bit disrespectful. But, there it goes. Can I say, by the way... we have family. Well, they're not actually my family, but my brother-in-law's family has an online Pointless, which we play as a group.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to show off, but me and Kath as a team, we generally top two.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
This week we had our Return the New Year version. We finished last, and I'd like to give you some of my answers.
Oh, yeah.
Country beginning with L. Lapland.
Right.
Apparently not a country. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think I did.
Oh, well. It's a club in Birmingham, if that helps. Countries that were allies of ours in World War II. Malta. I thought they definitely got the George. They weren't actually a country, it turns out, in World War II.
Is that right?
And so it went on. Planets bigger than Earth? No idea.
That's tough.
So it was... and I was laughing about how badly we were doing, but inside my heart was an arid wasteland.
Because you like to compete in a quiz, don't you?
Yeah, and I was desolate.
Tough.
Anyway, I just thought I'd run that by you. So, where were we? Oh, I tell you what, we haven't done what human beings do and say, nice Christmas.
Yeah, nice enough.
Oh, I can't do that.
Oh.
I hate it when people do that. They go, good Christmas, and it goes, very quiet, actually.
Yeah, well, they did this year.
Yeah.
Let's not descend into that.
Well, I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
We were going to go away to a house in the country. Oh, hold on. Ow! Producer just caught me right in the kidneys.
Uh-huh.
That means we have to move on, forgive me. So we'll come back to this, but it's going to be a Christmas anecdote, so if you've had enough, just go listen to somewhere else for a bit, and we'll be back again.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So we was going to go away to a sort of country house thing,
Yeah.
and 10 of us.
It's all a bit Blur influenced today's show.
Yes, it is. It is a bit. And then there were certain restrictions introduced.
Yeah.
So then we were going to have 10 people at our house.
Right.
And then there was further restrictions. And in the end, it was just me, Kath and Buzz. Christmas.
Oh, really?
But we'd bought a turkey for 10,
Yeah.
which is that's a big bird.
It's a lot of turkey.
Oh, really is.
Big bird.
Yeah.
So anyway, we thought, we'll get through it. So on Christmas morning, got the turkey out. It was frozen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know we'd bought a frozen turkey. So it'd been in the fridge for a couple of days, but still absolutely rock hard. So we looked at the thing and it says in the fridge at 4 degrees, it needs 100 hours to thaw. 100 hours.
Yeah.
So its dad probably, I don't know, 20 odd. So we couldn't eat it.
No.
Couldn't eat it on Christmas Day. It's big, massive.
right.
What if the 10 people had turned up?
100
would've been
hours.
a
I mean, that's the
nightmare.
length of a sort of classical war or something.
That's how you
It's a
mention a presidential turkey. Happening. So anyway, the only meat we had was the pigs in blankets.
Ooh.
So the pigs. I once went to see My Fair Lady, expecting Martine McCutcheon, and she had a bit of a throat, and the understudy stepped up and was brilliant. And that's kind of what happened with the pigs in blankets.
Yeah.
You know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, pigs in blankets. But when they were at the
They're
centre,
delicious.
yeah.
Right.
So me and Boz had, I think it was 9 each.
Good.
And
So essentially, did they form a tower? How did you arrange them on the plate, or were they just more like a raft?
well, mine, I put at strategic positions, a little bit some in one side of the cabbage. Imagine if you were staking a joint.
Yeah.
And this is not meat terminology, it's
pun
private
heavy.
detective.
Or indeed a vampire. No Van Helsing here.
No, so there was you never knew where a pig in a blanket was going to turn up.
Right.
Oh, they was sort of an Easter egg treasure hunt vibe going on the Christmas
nice.
Day plate.
Yeah. It worked. It all turned out beautifully. And I tell you, there was an element of where's the turkey.
Was there?
I once went to see a gig called Elvis in Concert. And I don't know if you're aware of this phenomenon, but they get the singers and the musicians who played with Elvis in the 70s on his live shows. But obviously Elvis is no longer available. So he's on a big screen
Right.
just singing without any musical backing, and they play it live. But they still have a microphone in the middle of the stage, which is unattended.
That's depressing. Do you know?
And that's what not having the turkey on the plate
it's
was like.
it's the presence of absence.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It is exactly that.
Always an issue in life, I find. When did you eat? Did you consume the turkey?
So we had it on, I think
I'm glad
it was
you're
the
asking about the
28th. We had it.
Even though you didn't have the turkey to eat on your Christmas dinner and your pigs in blankets meal sounds nice, I do wonder if you could just hear dripping of the thawing turkey in the background, like a sort of metronome.
Well, it wasn't going that fast. It was a slow thawer.
Was it
Yeah.
a slow bird?
Slow thawer, as I think Alan Bennett said during the filming of one of his talking heads. But my sister-in-law bought us a meat thermometer as a gift.
Yeah.
Something that we'd forgotten about, and she pointed out to us. So we got that out and plunged it into the turkey on the 28th. And it was still minus 1.3 at the bone. So we said we'll just have to cook it a lot to be safe. So
Yeah.
we really cooked it. And by the time we ate it, I've got to be honest with you, I mean, we dried it. It was like eating a satchel.
Oh, dear.
Was it a bit Iris Murdoch's old shoe?
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was.
Oh,
That's how
dear.
it was.
Oh, God.
Is that what they say in the culinary world?
That's what I say in the Emily world.
No, we had to kill it so that it didn't kill us. We were talking about turkey in the break. I think
Thawing.
I might have had enough.
You had enough turkey? Oh, I like it.
I don't know if I'm going to bother next. Also, I've got resentment for it now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I'd said to you, I feel the turkey is, Christmas is built around this bird. Many people have said that about me, maybe in the past. But Christmas is built around this bird, and yet, do people like it that much? Because
Well,
it is an overrated
I
meat.
like it, but it goes against all my... I'm a person, if I go to an art gallery for a big exhibition and everyone is clustered around the beginning because they've just come in, I go to the other end of the room and look at that room in reverse because there's nobody around the paintings at the end. And it's
Right.
always good to be doing something out of season, as it were.
Yeah.
So getting a turkey at Christmas is mad. I should get one in May when nobody wants one.
Yes.
And freeze it this time?
Beautiful. I don't actually trust freezing in any aspect.
Sorry, but
That sounds logical.
similarly to, do you like Al? That much like Justin Timberlake brought sexy back, Frank is bringing beautiful
Beautiful.
back. Who knew?
Beautiful, in case our younger viewers, there was a man called Bernard Matthews who was a turkey...
Farmer.
Yeah, I was going to call him a turkey killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh, turkey killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Boo, 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 beautiful, boot. And he used to advertise things with him standing around these doomed creatures.
yeah.
And he used to
Yes,
say,
sorry, Frank.
beautiful. which is-
Absolutely beautiful. That was his catchphrase, and he had a sort of Robert Maxwell look about him. Well-fed tycoon.
Well, yeah, I had the red cheeks of the rustic
yeah.
individual. You know what I mean? The country person. A bit of tweed. There's an element of tweed about him.
I like some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. How do you know? The question is, how do you know when you're an old dad? And here it is.
Wow.
My son and his cousin were running around. We went for a walk, and they were running around screaming and shouting. And my son came over to me and said, "We're playing World War II. Will you be Winston Churchill?" Now then, you know, don't you, that you've
suppose.
misjudged it.
At least they see you as a goodie.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have gone
Well,
worse.
It could have been, let's be honest, it could have been worse. You could have had a...
Yeah.
Remember, this is a man whose statue is attacked about twice a week now.
Yeah, but wait till those people hear about the other guy.
But also...
Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to have to struggle to find the statue of Hitler in London. Fair enough. Publicly.
You might have one of Blondie.
Oh.
It wasn't Blondie's fault.
No, you can't blame. You can never blame the dogs. I've often thought that. So I'm going to ask you. No, I'm not going to ask you a question. The producer today has been, I'd say, bullying. It reminds me of when I was at school.
I tell you what, the producer today has been on fire.
Yeah, but if it's a good job I don't have a hot drink, so it keeps shoving
Should throw
me
it in your face,
to,
I would.
Yeah, it was. I really feel pressured and it's
Just
awful.
put your music on, love.
Okay, put your put your music on. What you say?
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Annabelle Grant has been in touch regarding Beautiful. She's tweeted us, "Morning, Annabelle. Beautiful was because the turkeys were raised in Norfolk. This is how the word is pronounced there.
Uh-huh.
The dialect features yod dropping, which I think I've heard from Frank on occasion. Do you know what that is?
Yard dropping? No.
No, I'm not familiar with it. Well, you answer questions and then you pose further
If there's an
questions.
animal called the yod,
Right.
that would explain it.
I don't think
Yob.
there
Perhaps it's a
is.
typo, the yob. You see, you don't hear about yobs anymore. A very 70s phenomenon, the yob.
I think it's
Yeah.
about dropping a part of the word. You know, like in Yorkshire, they have a thing called the glottal stop.
Oh, yes.
So they say over wall. But obviously, yod dropping is something that we're until now unaware of.
But we will investigate
Every
it
day is
further.
a school day on this show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Go on.
I had my doorbell went the other day, And
Did it inspire you to write?
Big guy.
so I went.
You went off and wrote Kubla Khan.
So I went downstairs, and it was the popular comedian Tim Key.
He didn't just turn up unannounced, did he?
Yeah,
I can't bear
He
that.
just did a doorbell.
yeah, he did the doorbell.
Wow.
There's only a few I'd allow that from.
Well, he's one of the five people who are guests we have as guests on this show?
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Neil Gaiman didn't knock on my door. I mean,
I'd
he's
be
one of
very
the
happy
five.
if Neil Gaiman knocked on my door.
Really, any of the big five? You'd
And
let?
I think any of the people we have as who are they?
Okay, can we establish?
Neil Gaiman,
David Baddiel.
Alex Horn, David Baddiel,
Alex Horn, David Baddiel,
Tim Key,
Tim
and I
Key.
think Stephen Moffat. I think that's it.
That's pretty
What an
big.
extraordinary
Good
collection.
Any of them could knock on my. Anyway, he knocked on my door.
How's Tim?
Well, he was doing. I mean, he was being very good. He was standing well back. You know.
Did he ring first and say I might come over?
No.
Just straight to the door.
No, what he'd done is I got an email from him, and he said, "I've written a new book. I'd like to give you a copy. What's your address?" Well, I thought
Put it in the post.
he was going to post it. So that's what I assumed, but because he doesn't live that near. Anyway, so he turned up, and it was, you know, I stood on the step. I mean, one of the very few pluses of the current situation is, do you ever get people come round your house and it's a bit of a grey area whether they're inviting people or talk on the step people? And sometimes you see them longing for your interior, as it were.
Yeah.
And there was none of that, you know. It was a bit like addressing people from the stage door.
That's nice.
Yes, and
Which is-
everyone knows, you know, you shall not pass.
There's clarity.
All interaction takes place on the stoop. That's how it should be.
And then my partner came to the door to see what on earth was going on, and I felt. Well, I'll tell you after this break. I felt she slightly spoiled it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
So Tim Key turned up at my house, and then my partner came and said hello and spoke a bit, and then she did a thing which she often does with me when I'm talking to men.
Oh, yeah.
She said, "You should be friends.
Oh.
Why don't you be friends?" Because she's always
front of
moaning
you
about
both.
me that I'm not very good on the friends thing.
Right.
Why don't you be friends? You could. I can't please, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I got anxious, he got anxious, and then he went away.
I'm sure he'd love that.
Oh, I don't.
But it's
And that-
difficult if somebody states it in
Yeah,
the
it is.
conversation.
Yeah, you're not
innit?
supposed to. You're not
Yes.
supposed to start rubbing it in like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, he gave me. I was happy to see. I tell you why I was happy to see him is I grew up amongst people who didn't have phones of any kind, and I'm including landlines. If you wanted to make a phone call, you had to go and knock on Mrs. Morgan's door and ask if you could use her phone.
Right.
So that's people turned up. That was how
Yeah.
it worked. And then when I moved to London, I tried to continue it, and people don't like it when you turn up because they're doing work and they're writing
Yeah.
they're writing a column for a newspaper, and you turn up. You know how it is.
Yeah. It's different.
So it was nice. I thought that he just turned up, but then he gave me the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I fell for the oldest trick in the book. Is that he said to me, "Oh, you get a name check."
Uh-oh.
And of course, that's a great way to get someone to read a book,
Yes.
because all you do is scour the book for your name.
Oh,
Pathetically.
he's a wily one, that
Yeah, I
Key.
mean, I was going to call him back and ask for a page reference,
Yeah.
but he'd gone.
Is it a poetry book?
I'll tell you what, it's a book about lockdown.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
It's very funny, and it's also a beautiful book. The actual
yeah.
design
I
of
take it
it
the mention was positive then.
is
Stunning
stunning.
design, yeah.
No, I never found the mention.
Oh, really?
Never found. I'm starting to think it was a
Wild goose chase.
lie.
Oh.
Did you not get a mention after all that?
I couldn't find it.
What if you're in just that legal bit on the inside front cover, just that nobody reads?
I know,
What if you're there?
so beautiful. I didn't want to read it. It felt wrong to read it.
Also, I love that Tim Key has written a poem about lockdown.
Well, it's not just a poem, it's
Oh.
dialogue.
You
I
see,
get
he's
it.
done all sorts of puns on
Okay,
it.
lockdown.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know what? I don't think he used that pun in the whole book.
No.
Oh, he's too classy.
Maybe he could put it in as some sort of addendum. We used to get those books and there was a piece of paper in them and it was like something had been missed from the book. Come on.
I like addendum.
Sort yourselves out. I must tell you, I did it with David Baddiel. I gave him a book about the history of alternative comedy and wrote hello next to his name in the index.
So what's the book called then? You've got to do the whole PR
it's
thing for
different.
these.
I can't do that because
Listen,
it's something like the man who married thought or something complicated.
Right.
he's traipsed barefoot to your house in the snow.
I
to
never
try and
said
get
he was. I
some
never
PR.
said he was barefoot. I never said. You've added that.
It's a good detail, though.
It is. It's not true. But no, it's a beautiful. It's one of those books. It's like a little thing. It's an objet d'art.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Nice.
Lovely.
But I'm if I'm in it, I'm damned if I can see it. And I have scoured it with a fine-tooth comb.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Emily Dean, Alan Cochrane. Text the show 81215. Follow the show, Twitter, Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show, Absolute Radio website.
Had a touch of the rag and bone being shouted there, losing the words, didn't it?
Whatever happened to that? Here the old darling. No idea what they said.
Frank, we've been talking this morning about strangest things you've seen in a park.
Yes. Breakfast show friendly things.
Yeah.
Yes. SFW, as I believe they say.
Suitable for work.
Correct. Yes. Dirty Harry has sent us this.
Oh, this should make my day.
Yeah. Very good.
Go on.
When I bought my current home, get you,
Yeah.
which had a large green area, aka a park opposite, one quiet Sunday morning a helicopter landed and two air hostesses, cabin crew now, thank you, ran from a nearby house and jumped in and took off.
Brilliant.
My wife remarked, are they allowed to do that?
Well, they didn't drop the jumbo down. Think yourself lucky. That's I don't know what it is, but it's I know now it is the cabin crew and all that.
Yeah.
But the female members of cabin crew have got an intrinsic glamour which has not been diminished by being lumped with the blokes. There's something
You're right.
incredibly. No one else can wear a silk scarf quite like they do.
And also, yes, which is why so many radio DJs in the 70s snapped them up, the air hostess.
Well, yeah.
Fair play.
And comics, of course, were all marrying beauty contests. Well, why was that is a question that would not take long to
why
answer
was
if we were
there-
off air.
But bear with me. What I'm saying is, why was there the division? Was there a suggestion that the cabin crew / air hostess was, well, you're not quite going to get the beauty queens, radio DJs, you can make do with the air hostess?
Yeah, but the air hostesses are often more beautiful than the beauty queens. There's
Well,
something
quite.
about control. There's something about in what a situation which many find anxiety making. They are calm, smiling. You feel safe.
Yes.
Yeah. And also they're very good at walking down aisles, aren't they? So they're
Oh, they're made for marriage.
made for it.
Absolutely made for it. No, it's brilliant. The red shoes on the Virgin things.
Yeah.
It's very glamorous. Still an intensely glamorous job.
Yeah.
I think
just
we've
to
established
follow up the park life thing. 706. Hi, Frank, Emily, and Alan.
Hello.
I've seen a man tightrope walking on ratchet straps in Fitzpark, Keswick, Cumbria. I expect it in Notting Hill in that there London, but up north, I think that's a good point.
I have to say I've seen tightrope walking on the Heath as well.
Yeah.
Is it seen? It's a middle class thing. Is the suggestion of that?
I think also some of them are doing what they call slack ropes, so it's not actually tight ropes. I hate to be Mr.
I never
pedantic.
knew there was a slack rope.
Yeah, I think
But you
it's...
could be aspiring to a tight rope and only be able to manage a slack rope. Depends on your ratchet.
All of that stuff's very vogue at the moment, isn't it? The gymnastic rings and the tightrope.
Is it? I haven't seen the gymnastic rings before.
It's very on trend in the fitness world.
Bars got excited. Bars honestly thought it was going to be Quidditch when the rings went up. But
dear.
no way, Jose, as they say at Marine FC.
Yeah. What about Hazalad saying, I once saw ex-talk show host Robert Kilroy Silk walking his cat on a lead in a suburban Liverpool park. He kept on shouting, "Get back, Lionel," which we presume was the cat's name.
Wow.
Very bizarre.
Unless he was fending off Lionel Blair by taking advantage of his cat allergy. We've all done it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'd like to talk to you about recruitment, actually.
Oh, God, what's going on?
Well, the Queen's head cleaner, I think it is, has been...
The Queen's head cleaner?
Yes, that's right.
Is that for a cassette player?
Just as the coins. All right. Has said that they hire staff, obviously, but she has a special test to see whether certain staff are going to make it or not. And she puts a fly on the floor, on the carpet, or on a windowsill or something, and sees whether or not the candidate will spot it and what they'll do. And apparently half of the people, like 5 out of 10, will have a look and see it, but one person will pick up the fly, and that's the special candidate that gets the job as cleaner at Buckingham Palace.
Jose Mourinho, the special one. Yeah. We should say at this point it's a deceased fly.
Yeah. Which makes
it'd
me...
be very hard to place a non-deceased fly.
It could have been a dying fly, but this is a...
But I'm glad you brought up that it's a deceased fly, because it did make me think, does this person who already works at Buckingham Palace then have to, after they've appointed someone, get the fly back and put it in like a little matchbox
I don't think they have the job at this point, as I read the article. They're being shown around.
No.
Yeah.
OK, can I just... What Alan, I think, if I may be so bold, he was suggesting is who is responsible... When they're doing these endless interviews, who on the royal recruitment team is responsible for gatekeeping the dead corpses? Because presumably they'll have to keep getting these dead flies out. Over to you, Frank Skinner.
Yes, I don't know the answer to that
question.
I'm guessing. I can think of one of the royal children who's got a bit of spare time on his hands.
Yeah.
Maybe he got the dead fly.
Yeah.
Job. But so the idea is the person is shown around the palace. They're about to give them the job probably, but this little test happens. They see the fly, and then the boss stands back and thinks, right, so how is he or she going to cope with this little conundrum? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know about you, but as I read it, they leave it on the carpet.
Or the fireplace.
Yeah. Now, if I was in someone else's house, I would never dream of picking up a dead fly and dispose. That's not my business.
That's why you're not an elite level cleaner at Buckingham Palace.
I mean, let's say, for example, one wouldn't be surprised to hear that the Duke of Edinburgh plays a lot of indoor golf.
No.
That could be the marker for his ball he's put down there.
It could.
So he walks back having had a look at the fairway.
Yeah.
And it's got... You just don't do that in other people's houses. It's not your business.
I couldn't agree more. By
the way, can I ask, whatever happened? There used to be a regular motif in films and TV things. Someone would go to someone's office... And inside the office, they were playing golf into sometimes into a glass tumbler.
Yes.
And sometimes they'd have a little hole. What, do people still do that? Or is the mobile phone...
It became very much the sort of... It was shorthand for busy executive hasn't got any time for you. But by the end of the movie, they'll have changed their tune.
Yeah, and there's a bit of so powerful can play golf in the office.
That's what it was.
If anyone is listening...
still play golf?
Do you still play office golf? Is there anyone here who still... I'd love to know if that's still... It was such a symbol of power.
Yeah.
Office golf.
Yeah.
Sort of thing you might have seen in Reginald Perrin for it, par exemple.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're discussing the Queen's
The
fly.
test, yes.
Now, this lady, I believe she's called the head of royal recruitment, to give her full title, Tracy Waterman. Can I just say, I'd like to say I think that is really impressive that the royal family employ Tracys, only because one would assume, perhaps wrongly, that everyone in their household was a sort of Porsche or an Araminta.
I don't think so. I think it goes the full spectrum of society, actually.
I like that about them.
Yeah, me too.
I'll tell you what I read about the cleaning thing in this article, that if you get a job as a cleaner, often it's a live-in post.
Yes.
So you live at Buckingham Palace, but you also get all your meals free.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, I bet the meals at Buckingham Palace are rubbish.
Do you
I
think?
bet they're
Oh,
like
do you
really
think?
substandard school meals.
I think they're like
thing.
airport food, I agree. Yeah, airline food, sorry.
I think it's like turkey Twizzlers and and
You got a real problem with turkey today, you.
I know I've gone off turkey, good and proper.
I did
I'm
wonder.
with Bernard Matthews and the mass killing approach.
Tracy Waterman said that, out of 10 potential...
I like we're just talking about Tracy. She's a figure.
She's seen eight.
She said out of 10
does she say,
people,
Trace?
half will spot
Tracy,
the fly on the floor.
Yeah.
No.
And one will pick it up, and that's that special cleaner. I wondered how it would affect my employment chances if I was in the running and I not only picked it up, but I popped it in my mouth and just swallowed it.
That would go against you.
Do you think it would go against me?
Yeah, especially if you didn't pick it up. You just a massive tongue extended from your mouth, and
You'd think
That's
she'd
it.
think, he's going to be able to clean in the cracks by the skirting boards, isn't it?
I think she'd be alarmed. They
You
don't
think?
want anything different, do
No.
they?
Yeah, they're probably
is,
worried
I don't
about.
think they like anything new or original, the royals. I mean, I find that like the royal family, and I got no big deal with the royal family, fine, but their major thing now is saying things. Like the younger royals,
Right.
their major thing is saying things that everyone's been saying for about 5 years with absolute conviction that no one's
what's
ever
that
said
thing
it
that they
before.
say? Yeah.
Caring things.
Oh, I
but
see,
things
yeah.
that you think, well, we all know that.
Yeah, it's a bit truisms, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Received wisdom.
So they don't want anyone with a lizard tongue working there.
All right, I'll bear it in mind.
Yeah. I'm not saying
No.
you've got one.
The thing is, I would agree with your earlier point, Frank, Tracy Waterman, that actually this is the height of bad manners. If I walked into your home and I saw a deceased cockroach in the fireplace area, imagine if I picked it up. I wouldn't get a wet wipes out to attack the stains on your sofa.
But it's an insult, isn't it? If you saw a dead horse in my house, it's not your business.
Yeah. You just politely walk around
Well,
with it.
may I remind you of this, the story I told you regarding that my father used to tell about the member of the aristocracy who said when a gentleman commented on his grandfather clock in the stately pile, "Get out, fellow noticed me things."
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you see? It's a fellow noticed me things to the ultimate
Fella
degree.
noticed me flies.
I
Yeah,
remember
don't
saying.
comment
I
on
remember
people's-
saying that after an extensive medical.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
I tell you what I do like. I like a job interview story. There used to be a few stories about job interview. Remember there was one where man goes for a job interview, and it's supposed to be a true story. And the guy said to him, they had a few questions, and they said, "How did you get here this morning?" He said, "I got a train and I got a cab from the station." And one of the interviewers said, what was the licence plate on the cab? And he said it was GVH 9D11B. He said, okay, great. So after they went out, he said, I think he should get the job. And the other guy said, well, he was lying. There's no way he would have known the licence plate. He said, that's why I think he should get the job. Because he was so quick to come up and just make one up.
Oh.
And then I knew a guy, and he said he used to take potential employees out for a meal, and if they put salt in the soup or salt on the food before they tasted it, he wouldn't employ them.
Right.
Because he suggested they took action before they tested the need for it.
Oh, that's clever.
I once gave a man, I'll name him, Steve Parry, who is...
I know Steve
you know him.
Parry.
Who is lovely.
I gave him a job because I was looking for... I think he was started as a producer, and then he came into my office to meet me, and I had music on, and he said, "Is that Trout Mask Replica?" Or he didn't even say, "Is it?" He said, "Oh, Trout Mask Replica," which is a Captain Beefheart album. Because he recognised it, I gave him the job.
That's interesting.
Okay, there you go.
Apparently, Fred Carno of the Carno Troupe,
yes.
the famous vaudeville type.
Indeed.
And he used to, when interviewing somebody that might get the job as a clown or a performer in the comedy bit, he would pretend to blot some ink and then flick it at them. And if they responded by improvising, he would give them the job rather than just if they sat there ignoring it.
Wow, that's quite... You couldn't get away with that now.
No.
Oh, no, you can't be flicking ink at the...
But you can put dead flies on a carpet.
Anyway, this woman now, Tracy Waterman, has given away the secret, so that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
I would suggest that Tracy's... I think she needs to brush up on the old etiquette. It's not good manners, Trace.
No, but the secret's out. It's like if you're looking at houses and when you get there they're making bread and got coffee on, you know, don't you? The secret's out.
Secret's out, chicken
also,
man.
what if one of the candidates...
Colonel Sanders.
What if one of the candidates is one of those people that massively overreacts to household bugs? What if they're doing the little tour around Buckingham Palace, somebody just rips their shoe off and absolutely splatters the fly in like a sort of Basil Fawlty rage style? Like, do they get the gig because they've gone above and beyond everyone else?
But I'm guessing that after weeks of interviews, it's a dried out husk of an insect.
Also, I imagine the Duke of Edinburgh, and I say
so
this...
So do I, quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I do, actually. I say this to praise the man. I imagine he's very much of the fellow noticed me things variety.
Yes.
I imagine he'd consider that grossly impudent.
Mm-hmm. I think they got the fly from his windscreen, along with a couple of the gardeners also stuck to it.
A couple of civilians.
Anyway, it's a strange old way to...
500, by the way, has suggested my boss still plays indoor golf. He also plays the ukulele almost constantly. He is probably the most annoying man I have ever met, they add.
Oh, better not do their name.
500 is the end of their number.
My first job, I ended up working in a drawing office on my own eventually. And I used to keep my guitar in one of the drawers for the drawings. And when work was slow, I'd take that out and play Bob Dylan songs.
Great. If you like that
well, it's the end of the show now, more or less. But if you want to write and say things you did at work when you should have been working, we can read them out next week. Because there must be loads of stuff going on. Let's make that as a sort of.
There's also I know someone who wrote a whole novel during work hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'd see the page disappear and I'd think, I know what you're up to, man.
That's really good, because I know people that put their head on a broomstick and run round it 10 times and then try and walk in a straight line, but you know people that write novels at work.
What I'm worried about is that someone has listened, they've listened to us talking about Buckingham Palace, they've gone to the toilet, they've come back, and you've said, I see the page disappear and I know what you're up to, mate. And they're thinking, this has gone very sordid and upsetting. It's so easy to get confused in the modern world. Look, thank you so much for listening.
No, not yet, love. Too early.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry. Well, the producer is shoving me about.
No,
I'm bruised.
Look, just do some more. We'll do some more after this.
You've Tim peaked early, and it's okay.
Honestly, I don't know
It's
where I
okay.
am today. I feel like I'm like a hostage. A blindfolded hostage.
Just play what you're going to play and we'll come back and do some more.
What was I going to
Well,
play, though? I
fine.
don't know.
Just press
Well,
that
we'll
button.
find something. Just,
It'll have to be stereophonics.
Yeah.
Don't come crying to me.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I've had a thought. We were talking earlier.
275, Frank starting his sign-off for the show 20 minutes early had something of when Michael Jackson accepted the Artist of the Millennium Award. Both men with such high hope in their voices.
I know, it was a tragic.
It was a bit Moonlight as well.
Senior
And the Oscar
moment.
goes to Moonlight.
It was really.
It was a La La Land.
No, I saw Bob Hope live. I took David Baddiel for his, and Bob Hope was about 81, and we realised later he had dementia issues.
Oh.
But he was.
That's
he
a
did
nice story to sign off with.
He did an old song called "Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree"
With anyone else but me.
Yeah, and he started going until we go marching, and in the middle, literally in the middle of the song, he did the big ending, and the band are all into a panic. And that's basically what just happened to me. But just to prove I haven't got completely lost it, we're talking about Bernard Matthews.
We were.
Before, beautiful. The man who owned many, many turkey slaughtering farms.
Yes.
Another lovely
Do they still
last
exist?
10 minutes.
Okay, what would you say? And I have no idea. He must have written an autobiography, but I had an idea. What would his autobiography be called?
Slice of life? No, a bit weak, that. We'll
Al,
workshop
what do you
that.
think?
It's got to be something about beautiful, surely.
I don't know what it is,
Oh,
but I
really?
just
What
had
are
an
you
idea
going
what
for?
it could be.
Go on.
Murder Most Foul.
Oh, come on.
In Sharon.
He's happy with that.
Can I just give a shout out to Wesley, who sent us a long email?
John Wesley, the...
Oh, I would
I
have
think-
gone Snipes.
I just think
Preacher.
Wesley has sent us a long email about how much they enjoy turkey in his family and the various
You see-
ways that they eat it.
If I was Wesley, I would always say as in Snipes. You know when someone's got a name and they have
Right.
to say as in,
Yeah.
I'd go as in Snipes. Would you not?
If you're spelling it out, I'd say as in John Wesley, the
Oh, well,
Methodist preacher.
I would wish you immense good luck with that.
Okay. There's a plaque on the just by the Ivy restaurant, famous celebrity hangout, that says John Wesley preached here. You know, he's got profile, Wesley.
Yeah, I think there should be a plaque up there saying Judi Dench once insulted Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner a Death Star.
Because she said to you, Frank, outside the Ivy.
I was posing for a press photographer outside there, and as she arrived, she said, "Oh, I thought this place was for celebrities," which I thought, is. I got to tell you, I watched the television program this week of it was her, Maggie Smith. Joan Plowright. There's four dames of the theatre, just talking about. I remember, and I remember that Dickie said to me, and it was. I could have watched it for a whole month non-stop.
I bet there are a lot of Larry mentions.
Oh, there's a lot of Larry. A lot of Larry in it. Yes. Well, of course, I had to kiss him during Othello. I was covered in it. It was so fantastic, though. I could have watched it all night and beyond. I recommend it. It's called something, I think, tragically, it's called There Is Nothing Like a Dame.
Right.
Oh, they've gone a bit.
It's not up there with Murder Most Foul.
Oh, what is?
He did murder Most Foul. So maybe Colonel Sanders was a close second.
Yeah.
Anyway, and thanks for listening to us. It's great to be back and still in the studio. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now stay in.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.